Welcome back to DR Boxing. My name is Laurie. I'm joined here at DR Boxing Weekly with my big man, Nick Francis in the house. Also, I've got James in the house, and we are here to discuss a big upcoming fight taking place on July the 29th, 2023. It's the big one, Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford for the undisputed welterweight championship of the world. Simply put, this is the biggest fight this year. In fact, I would say, friends, it's the biggest fight since Floyd fought Manny Pacquiao in 2015. That's how big this fight is.
And like Floyd versus Manny Pacquiao, it's dragged on a little bit, but I do think that now's the right time. Obviously, it would have been the right time previously, but I think they would just get into the precipice of this starting to lose a little bit of value. So they've got it almost at real peak value. And I'm really excited about this. This
fight is so big that whereas previously I was saying, look, if they don't fight soon, I'm not interested. As soon as it was announced, suddenly my boxing juices started flowing, and I'm super excited for this fight. James, what's your thoughts?
Like you said, it's been a long time coming. I think when we get closer to the date, I think the hype will start to build up. I'll start to get more excited when I start to see more of the press conferences, more of the interactions. It's something that, had you asked me a couple of years ago, I would have been jumping around at, and I still am. But just because it's taken so long, I just want to see slightly more interactions between the two people before I get, off the edge of my seat. But It is one of those fights where, build up aside, you just know it's going to be an absolute corker.
Well, already the whole boxing world is talking about this fight. You can't go on social media, you can't, interact with anybody in boxing without them talking about this fight. Me, it's a 50-50 fight. Although, you know what, I would slightly lean towards Crawford, but I do think that Errol Spence does have lots of attributes where he can win this fight. I think it's going to be a very good fight on the night, and personally, I can't wait. Nick, who would you have as a favourite?
It's an 80-20 fight for me.
80-20?
80-20 fight for me, man. The boy, Bud Crawford, I'm telling you, he's too disciplined. Do you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
He lives in the countryside. You don't get bought into the hype. So
does Errol Spence. He lives in the countryside.
Errol Spence.
He's a country boy.
Errol Spence started partying after they had that chat back in 2018 behind the scenes, all the rest of it. That's when it was like real peak. We need to see this fight. And then he had the car crash. We still have yet to see how that might have affected him long term.
Well, from judging by his couple of performances since then, it doesn't.
Well, we'll see. But I think he lacks a little bit of discipline. We see him out partying and drinking. He's with the rappers. Bud Crawford is too disciplined. So honestly, he is. He lives that type of rap man lifestyle.
I would say, and listen, I do hear your point. Previously, Errol Spence, there was talk going around in the boxing circles that he may be an alcoholic. But since that car crash, he seems to have got himself straightened out. He has gone on record as saying that in many ways, maybe not a blessing in disguise, but what happened to him has forced him to reevaluate his life and his life choices. He's now turned that around. I'm not saying he doesn't drink anymore, because I don't know the man, but certainly every time I've seen him out in public since, he looks a lot more collected, a lot more measured, and a lot more professional. James, what's your thoughts?
I don't, like you said, I don't see as big of a problem with his personality and his lifestyle as you do. I don't think that's going to be a big hold up in this fight. If I do bring up the record of him, 22 knockouts, 28 fights, as opposed to Crawford's 39 wins and 30 knockouts. Oh, it's such a tough one to call. It is such a tough one to call. I just think Terence Crawford is slightly more technical. I think he's going to piece him up.
I would agree with you on that.
I think he's a bit smarter in the ring. I think he's going to set up some traps for him.
But don't underestimate the size and strength advantage that Errol Spence will have. He's a career welterweight.
I know, but is he going to be able to land clean on a guy like Terence Crawford?
Listen, Bud has been landed
Crawford
on before.
is very, very, very tight defensively.
Let's be honest, Crawford has been landed on before. Even going back a few fights, he fought the Green Machine. His name I can't pronounce. But yeah, he appeared to have Crawford on the floor. Crawford has been wobbled a few times and been hit and hurt. So listen, Errol Spence does have
and
those
Errol Spence starts quicker. Crawford is a famously slow starter.
Yeah, that's true.
Takes his time gathering information and then starts to pop off. So if Errol Spence doesn't enforce himself, then early on, then I think that that's one of the things he's got to do. But then Bud's got an extremely good gas tank. They both do. They're both very fit and very durable. But I think Bud's also just too accurate. He's so accurate with his punches. It's crazy.
But later on in the fight as well, I think you were talking about the Kavaluskas fight. You're talking about where he got dropped and he still
it's just easier to pronounce.
Well, Kavaluskas, and he still came back and won that fight convincingly.
All his fights at welterweight since he won the title from Jeff Horn, he stopped him. So he's showing real punching power. And when you consider that he started as a lightweight, I can remember watching Terence Crawford in this country actually, well in Britain. He fought Ricky Burns and beat him. Then he moved up to light welterweight, unified all the belts. Now he's seeking to do that at welterweight. For me, he's got to be in my pound for pound top 3. It's between him, Usyk, and the top 2 I've got is him and Usyk.
But he's one of those Floyd Mayweather style fighters. Like you said, he takes a bit of time. He reads your game plan and he can just adjust on the fly. He's so versatile, so adaptable, and I just think his skill set is going to be too much for Errol Spence.
But I do believe that there are other intangibles which give Errol Spence a real chance. I spoke about it earlier, the size difference. Errol Spence is the bigger man. He's a career welterweight. He has to boil himself down to make the weight. He's been fighting at I remember watching Errol Spence in the amateurs at the 2012 Olympics. I think he was boxing as a welterweight then. Big puncher, good body puncher.
Interestingly, he actually has a slightly shorter reach. He has a 2-inch shorter reach than Crawford, which is quite interesting.
I think that's the difference. I see Spence as slightly more of a puncher. He can box, but he's slightly more of a puncher. And I think
he's what they call a box puncher.
Yeah, exactly.
He's very good body puncher.
He is a very good body puncher. And then I see Crawford as more of a boxer.
Yeah, I would certainly agree with you there. Crawford is more of a pure boxer. And he's also a switch hitter as well.
Yes.
So,
And there's arguments to be had. Errol Spence could be more appeasing on the eye, slightly more entertaining. There's arguments.
I think that's about equal, to be honest. I think they're both good.
But yeah,
obviously it depends on what you look for. But nevertheless, this is going to be a great fight, people. Obviously, we'll be covering it on DR Sports Boxing. I'll probably give a more detailed breakdown and a prediction nearer to the fight because we're still some way off. And that may involve me seeing how the two guys look in training and the sort of stories you hear in sparring and stuff like that. But certainly, it's on a knife edge for me. It could go either way. You know what? I would slightly lean towards Crawford, given some of what you said before about the dedication that Crawford's shown compared to, let's face it, a bit of a lack of dedication on Spence's part. But he says he's put this behind him, and I do believe him. And we're all set to go.
Is this the biggest fight in boxing?
100%.
I would say, because I know you're going to bring up money and AJ Fury and this kind of stuff, but I think for boxing fans, this is the biggest.
Bigger than Fury Usyk right now.
Yes.
For me, yes. Yeah. Although I can understand why you might.
I think Fury Usyk does more money, but again, from a boxing perspective, yes.
I still think Fury AJ is the biggest fight in boxing, personally, especially if you talk about overall global numbers, global viewership. I think Devin Haney, Tank Davis is a big one also for current fighters.
Yeah. If you're talking purely on numbers, let's face it, this fight here probably not going to do as much as Ryan Garcia versus Tank. However, it's a way bigger and better fight for me. Yeah. Way bigger. But hey,
what it is, it will be remembered more in the years to come. In 10, 15 years from now, we'll remember Crawford Spence more than we remember Garcia versus Tank.
This is what they call a trade fight, meaning that everyone in the trade will be very interested in this fight.
It's a fighter's fight.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the fans, everybody that's into boxing, even the casuals, but more so the people in the trade are looking forward to this fight. I think it's the most keenly anticipated fight of the year. In fact, like I said, for me, since 2015.
I think, like I said, right now there's obviously a lot of the hardcores or whatever will be talking about it more, whereas it's not really, I haven't seen too much coverage about it, but I think as the weeks roll in and it gets closer, I think you're just going to see this big ball of hype just growing. And I think on Fight Week, it's going to be fireworks.
I'm even going to see if I can try and get out there for that. Yeah. Even if I don't.
Hey, let's get us all out there. Let's get us all out there.
No, what I'm saying, even if I don't get a ticket for the fight, I'm thinking of going out there just to be out there for the big fight atmosphere. But listen, guys, we've had our say. What do you think? Do you think this is the biggest fight of the year? Do you think, as I do, it's the biggest fight in boxing since 2015, Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao? Let us know. Thank you for supporting. Like, share, subscribe. Keep it locked on DR Boxing. Keep it locked on DR Sports. We are out. We'll see you again soon. Thank you very much.